What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family without further ado. Let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Remember, these are 7 countries that are not so welcoming for Black or African visitors.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Let's begin with Switzerland. This country might not be the paradise you've imagined, especially if you're Black. Sure, Switzerland's got it all. Breathtaking scenery, mouth-watering cheeses, and watches so precise you might never be late again in your life. But beneath this postcard-perfect facade lurks a darker reality that's got the UN Human Rights Council raising eyebrows. Picture this. You're strolling through a quaint Swiss village, taking in the sights, and suddenly, bam! You're hit with a game of Who's Afraid of the Black Man? Yep, that's the name of a real kids game played in Switzerland. Sorry, I can't make this up. Switzerland might not have been a colonial power, but it turns out they were the sneaky accountants of the transatlantic slave trade. Talk about dirty money in those squeaky clean Swiss banks.
Not them being secret.
Now you might be thinking, surely it can't be that bad? Well, buckle up, because the stats are uglier than a melted Toblerone. Reported cases of racial discrimination have skyrocketed by 30% in just 1 year. That's not a trend. That's a full-blown racism explosion. Oh, wow. And if you thought finding an apartment in your hometown was tough, try doing it with a foreign-sounding name in Switzerland. Your chances of getting a viewing? Less than 5%. It's like playing housing roulette, but the house always wins. And by house, I mean white-sounding names. But at least the police are fair and unbiased, right? Wrong. If you're Black in Switzerland, you're more likely to be stopped, searched, and sadly, some of these encounters have ended in tragedy. What do you think? Is Switzerland a go or a no-go for you? Leave us a comment below.
Child.
How about...
we haven't reacted to much Switzerland content, you know, so I don't know about that. But the game, that's crazy.
The game is crazy. We know Switzerland to be like a very luxurious, high-paying location. People get to have fun with the expenses. They get to have days off where they get to chill. Like, it's really love out there. But we didn't know. The babies are involved.
Right.
That's bad.
Listen.
When the babies are involved, that's...
Because who's teaching the babies?
Where's the correcting? You know what I'm saying? Corrector. So oftentimes when... I don't want to dive into it. We got more places to go. My comment may come out anyway because it's all obviously the same, but
not China.
Not China.
Not China.
Oh,
China. Is China a great country for Black travelers? I mean, there are millions of Chinese all across Africa, so they sure must be all about vibing with Black people, right? Well, not so fast. On the contrary, Chinese dislike for Black people is well documented, and it all came to the forefront during the height of the COVID-19 era, when African immigrants were discriminated against and accused of carrying the virus. Yeah, I know, sounds ridiculous. The guts and irony of the entire situation are just laughable. But for many Blacks living in the country, it was one of the worst acts of racism in their lives. There is even a recorded situation of a man fearing for his life when he found out his name.
I can't even listen to the rest because they thought what?
Oh, Afro.
They thought what? Oh, child. It's almost as bad as the bleach stuff.
This is just the second one.
Neighbors were planning to eat him because he was Black.
Wait,
is
what?
one of the works of racism in their lives. There's even a recorded situation of a man fearing for his life when he found out his neighbors were planning to eat him because he was Black. This is probably the worst joke in history, but that's nothing compared to this Chinese ad that shows an African being washed with detergent.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Want to see exactly what happened? I recommend you watch this video. I'll link it somewhere in the description or comment section. Be sure to check it out. You don't want to miss it. There's more. How about this Chinese zoo displaying a chimp next to an innocent African kid? Sorry, you can't make this up, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Black travelers, in particular, have expressed feeling like a spectacle when visiting major tourist destinations in China. Be ready for your hair being touched without permission and cameras pointed right at your face. As a black traveler, you'd need an extra pair of tolerance and patience when around Chinese people who are not exposed to cultures outside of their own. Questions like, why are you black? Or, are you black because you never take a shower? Are just the softest comments on the chart of absurdity. If you insist on visiting, visit the bigger cities like Beijing and Shanghai, or even Guangzhou. Always stay away from smaller cities and towns. Our next stop, India. As a nation, India is obsessed with light skin. It is a sign of beauty, of being upper class. The Mughal emperor, who came from
this
Persia,
is just, all of this is just conditioning. Back in the day, we used to, well, come on, I can't even tell my stories on this dang platform sometimes. But this is all conditioning. When you watch something or you hear something or you're forced to just be in an environment that just, feeds one way of living or one way of thinking, you are going to be almost numb to any other thing. And you don't really have a feel for it. You know what I'm saying? And when that numbness comes, which I don't understand, because how can your first response be a negative one?
Right.
If your heart is supposed to be good to people in general, because you go to everybody else. Right. So where does the ugliness come out at? Was it already there, or were you conditioned for it?
Yeah.
And that's
taught at a young age.
That's the problem we're dealing with. So.
Yeah, but that's why you go where you loved. Okay, go where you loved.
We're fair-skinned. Our Brahmins and upper castes have lighter complexions. The British, the Gora Sahebs, were light-skinned. Dark-skinned people in India are usually from lower economic classes, as well as lower castes. You don't have to watch more than 2 Indian movies to notice this prejudice. Light-skinned actors are darkened to play certain roles, rather than casting naturally dark-skinned actors. And dark-skinned actors are often relegated to roles portraying villains, criminals, or lower-class characters. But if you insist on traveling to India as an African or black person, remember these important rules.
They
Keep
cinematics
to the
be so funny, bro.
Only. Never stay out late alone, because at night, antisocial elements take to the roads here. Don't agree to take a lift from random men.
Wait, so this what y'all be talking about when y'all say be safe? Is this how dramatic are we going with this? Like, are people really at a T to, I'm talking about like all in your face type of stuff with this type of attitude, personality, the antisocialness, or are we just like bumping shoulders with random people as we going on throughout our day? What's the scale? What's the percent?
I don't know who about to take a random ride from a person that you ain't asked for a ride from. I don't know. Listen.
It's raised better than that.
Use the sense God gave you, okay?
That's what they say.
We're asking someone for directions and they try taking you to a place where there aren't many people, just say thank you and move away.
I'll give you one advice. Yes. If you ever say Negro to an African person, they will punch you in the face. This is not good. Negro is not good word.
A lot of Indians are illiterate and utterly racist, so chances are you will hear a thing or two about your color. You'd have to forgive the ignorance and move on. Now, how about Spain? A country known for its vibrant culture and stunning landscapes is grappling with an uncomfortable truth: a pervasive undercurrent of racism. Despite its multicultural makeup, Spain has found itself on lists of countries where racial discrimination is alarmingly common. Imagine moving to a new country, full of hope and excitement, only to face discrimination at every turn. That's the reality for Abraham Jimenez Hinoa, a Cuban writer who made Spain his home in 2021. In a startling revelation, Hinoa has documented a whopping 182 incidents of racial discrimination since his arrival. From being tailed in stores to unwarranted ID checks on public transport, his experiences paint a disturbing picture of everyday life for people of color in Spain. You might think that the world of sports would be a safe haven from such prejudices, but sadly, that's not the case. In May 2023, during a match between Real Madrid and Valencia, the ugly face of racism reared its head once again. Vinicius Jr., a talented young player, found himself on the receiving end of horrific racial slurs from opposition fans.
No.
The ultras. Listen, so much hate at once.
Eu só queria jogar futebol, só quero.
Can you imagine the pain of being called a monkey while simply doing your job? Now, the most troubling aspect of this situation is the apparent lack of action from those in power. Despite Spain's reputation
well, you
for
know what?
progress,
Again, it's the lack of action from those in power, but you got to dumb it all the way down to where it starts, right? It's in the schools, it's in the house, it's on the field, it's in the streets, it's in the gas stations. It's like as we grow and we learn, it's continuously happening. No one is checking it, and that's why as adults, people are being bullies.
Right.
So,
As adults.
yeah.
Don't get me started, child.
You gonna start now.
And inclusion. It seems that the pleas of marginalized communities have fallen on deaf ears. The question is, how can a country move forward when it refuses to acknowledge its shortcomings? If you're thinking of visiting or even staying in South Korea because, well, you love K-pop and kimchi, you might want to think that over again. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. South Korea is about as homogeneous as a carton of milk. We're talking 99% Korean, folks. That lack of diversity? Yep. South Korea is a recipe for some serious culture shock, and unfortunately, a heaping dose of prejudice.
South Korea deals with the same issues as Japan, like xenophobia, sexism, and toxic work culture, except it's worse. I think it's way worse. I've lived in both countries and can share my thoughts. In Seoul, I've been tripped by grown men for no reason, rejected from restaurants because I was with a white friend, rejected from clubs because I was with an Indian friend, and received worse attitude when I didn't dress up or wear makeup. As a woman, you're considered overweight if you weigh over 50 kilograms, and you're inferior if you don't have double eyelids and pale skin as an Asian. They hate foreigners, they hate other Asians, they even hate within their own people. Competition is so ingrained in Korean culture. People are probably competing to be the biggest hater. Some people are so unsatisfied with their lives that they genuinely hurt others to pull them down. There is zero consideration for other people. It's just a much more hostile environment compared to Japan, and customer service is much more polite here. I think both countries are worth visiting, but I would never live in South Korea again.
Now you might be thinking, but wait, don't Koreans love hip-hop and R&B? Sure they do. In fact, they've embraced black culture with open arms. Well, sort of. It's more like they cherry-picked the parts they like, leaving the actual black people behind. It's cultural appropriation on steroids. Let's talk about the daily grind. Imagine walking down the street and having people stare at you like you're an alien who just landed from Mars. That's the reality for many black folks in Korea. You might get people touching your hair without permission, because apparently personal space is optional. Or worse, crossing the street to avoid you. But wait, there's more. Job hunting as a black person in Korea? It's like playing a game of Guess Who, where all the cards are stacked against you. Some Hagwons. Private academies straight up prefer white teachers, believing that's what real English speakers look like. Talk about a facepalm moment. And let's not even get started on dating. While some Koreans might be curious about dating a black person, others have families who'd sooner disown them than see them bring home someone with melanin. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely there must be laws against this kind of discrimination, right? Well, South Korea doesn't have comprehensive anti-discrimination laws. In 2024, they're still debating whether it's okay to discriminate based on race, gender, or sexual orientation. But it's not all doom and gloom. Some younger Koreans are starting to wake up and have begun asking questions. They're questioning the old prejudices and pushing for change. And let's not forget about the black expats, who are thriving despite the challenges, carving out their own spaces and communities. So, is South Korea the worst place for a black person to travel or live? Not necessarily, but it's definitely got its fair share of hurdles. If you're thinking of making the move, just remember, pack your patience and an extra luggage of patience. Trust me, you're gonna need it.
Okay, so out of all of the Asian countries, it's two of them. I absolutely love the Philippines, and I absolutely love South Korea. The culture, the people, at least the people we have interacted with.
Facts. Yeah. I mean, way before we even did, I'm going to throw it in there, Jolly, and way before that.
Yeah, the Filipinos rocked heavy.
Facts.
Okay, I don't know, that one hurt a little bit. That one
I feel
stinging.
you now. Yeah, I feel you now.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the United States was on there. Even though this is our whole country.
It's crazy, but you gotta understand, all these countries are different levels of bosses. That's how I look at it. Like she's saying, these people never saw black people in a day in their life. Yeah. They got some people Some people. Yeah, some people they never saw black people day in their life. And you gotta just understand it that you're gonna probably get asked questions, get looked at a certain way, and pack that extra bag of luggage of patience. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
out of all of them so far, South Korea hurt. It really does, but I do have to say we have a lot of South Korean supporters. We have not received any hate from
I
South
don't
Koreans.
remember seeing one ill comment.
Right, now y'all know we receive a lot of hate sometimes, but
And this is talking
not from
about
them, though.
back in the day. Like, we ain't seen no hate comments for real.
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna keep it on the food. We're just gonna keep it on the food culture. That's it.
Come on, man.
If you love to visit South Korea someday, let us know in the comments below. Now let's come back to the motherland. Morocco. Oh yeah. You think all African countries are very welcoming to black people? Morocco is a land of enchanting medinas and aromatic tagines, harboring a troubling secret that's been swept under its ornate rugs for far too long. It's a tale of prejudice and discrimination that dates back centuries, rooted in the trans-Sahara slave trade. But here's the kicker. This isn't just ancient history. It's a present-day problem that's often swept under the rug. Imagine walking down the streets of Marrakech, soaking in the sights and sounds, only to hear racist slurs being casually tossed around. Shocking, right? Yet for black Moroccans, this is an everyday reality. The language used to describe them is often so dehumanizing, it'll make your skin crawl. We're talking about people being compared to animals. Monkeys and pigs, no less.
They call us monkeys when we were all equals. We have the same red blood flowing in our veins. Even women spit when we walk by.
It's like stepping into a time warp where human dignity took a wrong turn. Now, picture this. You're born and raised in Morocco. Your family has been there for generations, yet you're constantly asked, where are you really from? That's the reality for many black Moroccans. The phrase menente might sound innocent enough, but it's loaded with the implication that you don't belong. It's like being a permanent tourist in your own country. Talk about an identity crisis. But how do you solve a problem that nobody talks about? In Morocco's schools, the history of slavery, population diversity, and racism are conspicuously absent from the curriculum. It's like trying to complete a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. No wonder the cycle of ignorance keeps spinning. If you are a black traveler who visits a country based on the population of blacks in that particular country, you might be wondering, just how many black Moroccans are there? Well, that's the million dirham question. The lack of official statistics means we're left guessing. But one thing's for sure, the trans-Sahara slave trade left an indelible mark on Morocco's demographic makeup. This Reddit user's experience as a black Moroccan provides valuable insight. Morocco is a beautiful country, yes, but as a black Moroccan, I've witnessed subtle forms of racism in my everyday life, whether on public transportation, at school, or in social settings. The difference here is that racism often occurs quietly, with people making comments behind your back, or speaking in ways you might not fully understand. I come from a mixed background, with one black Saharan and one white Amazigh parent, and I proudly embrace my identity. However, the racial biases I've faced throughout my life have truly tested my patience. Additionally, some incidents of disrespect toward tourists have become concerning. In Rabat, for example, I've seen instances where young locals acted inappropriately toward visitors. Fortunately, my friends and I intervened before the situation escalated. It's important to bring these issues to light so measures can be taken to improve the situation. I'm not alone in experiencing these challenges. Both Moroccans and foreigners face them. By acknowledging these problems, we can work toward change. Walking into the United States, a country often called the land of opportunity.
No. Let me say something before we get started. Lord, as adults, I feel like we are so aware of what we're doing that it's not even like I think this person just kind of have like a mental disorder. It's not a mental, it's literally who they are, right? Because you're conscious of what you're doing, you're conscious of how you feel. You're an adult. I feel like we can check our emotions way quicker than a toddler or a preteen. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to, but as adults, like, we have some people in this world who are consciously doing what they're doing because that's just what they feel they can do. And that's just what it is. But
some adult bullies.
In the USA, now you're going to see crazy work of diversity, loving couples. You're going to see some historic facts that is
some people can't
gruesome, right?
And
at the end of the day, they always want us to say that it's like all well.
Act like it's not there.
All is well, but we made it to the USA, y'all.
Oh Lord.
Let's see how they compare to all the others.
Oh Lord.
It might surprise some people with a harsh reality hidden beneath its bright surface. While many dream of the American dream as a clear path to success, the truth is that racism in the US is deep, widespread, and hard to ignore. This uncomfortable truth keeps coming up, showing a nation struggling with its own values. Take the heartbreaking unaliving of a black man by a police officer in Minneapolis in 2020.
But his hands is in his pocket.
This tragic event highlighted the deep racism within American institutions and sparked a bigger conversation about what black immigrants face in the country. Most black Americans are descendants of people brought to the U.S. as slaves.
Live
But
around the
there are
corner.
also about 5 million black immigrants who came looking for a better life. For many of them, the dream of America clashes with the harsh reality of ongoing racism. Think about Patrick Lyoya, a 26-year-old who left the Democratic Republic of Congo with his family 8 years ago to find safety and opportunities in the U.S. His story ended in tragedy when a police officer unalived him during a routine traffic stop in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Gun and shooting Lyoya once in the back of his head.
Get back!
The whole incident was caught on camera, showing a scary struggle between Patrick and the officer. Even though the officer tried to use a taser, the situation ended with Patrick being shot in the head. Sadly, this isn't a one-time event, but part of a bigger problem: deep-rooted racism that affects every part of American life. Unlike most of the countries on this list, media houses and authorities have acknowledged there is indeed the issue of racism and are making conscious effort in addressing it. Which other countries need to make this list? Leave us a comment and
That's
please share
crazy.
with a friend.
Whoa.
Peace.
Whoa. We gonna stop right there. Make sure you guys go check our channel out.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I do have to put, I don't know, he said something and it kind of made it seem like it's just the immigrants. No. I mean, we have a deep-rooted issue of racism that people try to ignore. But thankfully, as an African-American person, I can say that I do not deal with racism every single day.
What I can say is that I am an observer of prejudice, right? People believing that I may be one to steal when I walk in stores, or hearing the code that they put on the intercom, or the random worker that's standing right on side of me. Oh, the mystery shoppers, they got to do better.
Child, listen.
Yeah, the mystery shoppers got to do better,
please
bro.
go
Because
ahead.
golly, I actually be talking to them. I be talking to them, but yeah, it's just what it is, though.
They working you hard today?
Yeah, you don't look like you're too mysterious today.
Yes. I don't know, the police brutality part just, it's a real sensitive topic for me.
Yeah,
like,
that
it really,
side,
really is.
That side is just.
It really is, because people in my family have gone through it. You know, immediate family, close family has gone through it. Lost a classmate who had his hands tied in the back of his, Lord
behind
Jesus,
the cop car.
his back.
Yeah, while he was in the cop car.
In the cop car.
Yeah.
And he unalived himself. Like, what?
It was rude suicide.
How?
Yeah.
How? Know people who knew George Floyd. Let's talk about what happened in Florida. What, last week, 2 weeks ago? A guy on his ATV. The neighbor don't want to hear it, so he shoot him in the back of his head, and he passed away. Like, that's just a very, very touchy subject for me. And if y'all were a supporter of ours around the time that the George Floyd thing happened, y'all know. Okay. Whew, Lord.
And I think at the end of the day, people who don't want to see, well, let me just say, people who like to push back on these type of topics don't want accountability at all. Because it's like, it's so crazy that you can see a fire and say it's not a fire.
Right.
Because it's crazy.
I don't know. It's just, our country just going through something right now. So, us being number one is just touchy. Okay. But, all right, y'all. We hope you guys enjoyed this video somewhat. We'll see you soon.
Peace.